Hello, hello. I'm Amy Sonnemann. Today I get to take over Layle's YouTube channel to show you some tips and tricks for using the library card stamp and die as well as the pocket die so that you can use them together to create beautiful, fun, interactive elements for all of your projects. Let's go ahead and jump right in. First, I want to start with the library card stamp and the coordinating library card die. The library card stamp itself has been around for quite some time. We've used it a lot in lists and on scrapbook pages and so forth. And people said, is there going to be a die for it? And we thought, well, you could just cut it out with a trimmer. Some people don't like to cut it with a trimmer because you don't get even edges all the time. It's really hard to get that exact same measurement on the left, right, and the top and bottom. We went ahead and created the library card die that coordinates beautifully with the stamp set. What that does is allows you to place your die on your stamp once you've stamped it out and cut it out perfectly. I'm going to show you a few tips for making that a little bit easier. My first suggestion would be to pick up some highlighter tape. Highlighter tape is meant to be put in books to highlight sentences or paragraphs. But what it doesn't do is pull up the words from the paper. So as I was looking at it and using it, I thought, well, this would be great for stamping and die cutting as well. I'll show you how beneficial it is to use just a small piece of the removable tape or the highlighter tape that I use. When laying your die over the top of your stamped image, you're going to want to create a nice even edge top to bottom and left to right. Well, we all know that once we put that in a die cut machine, if you don't tape it down, it's going to move and it's going to ruin your stamp. So with the tape, I just add 2 pieces of tape, one to the top and one to the bottom. Then when I run it through my die cut machine, I know that it is exactly where I want it to be. If I need to reassess, I can move it and reposition that tape. I can reposition the metal die to make sure it's perfect, and then run it through my die cut machine. When it's complete, you get this beautiful, evenly spaced edge on your library card. And when I get out my supplies to work on this, I don't just do 1 or 2. I have a whole stack. I mean, I do them in different colors. If I know I'm working on a specific project, I'll go get different colored cardstock that matches. Lighter colors tend to work better if you're journaling, but you could go a little bit darker. So I have a whole stack of whites and all the colors that would match with the postcards and passports collection that I would be using today. If we fast forward a few years, we decided that we would like to create a library card pocket die to be able to decorate our own library pockets. We were purchasing pre-made pockets, but we have so many great papers and die cuts and stamps that we thought, why not make our own and let you choose what you want that library pocket to look like. You can decorate it with regular paper, cardstock, patterned paper. The sky's the limit when you have a die to be able to create it to match whatever project you're currently working on. So then all of the fun started. Inside of your library pocket die, you will have 2 dies. The first die is the front piece, which is here. And then the second die creates the back piece, which you will see here. It allows you to add all of your library cards inside. It will hold maybe 3 or 4, depending on how thick your paper is. So you can add pictures, you can add journaling, you can add ephemera, tickets, you name it, the sky's the limit. One of the questions we've been asked is, when I put all of my library pockets and library card stamps and dies together, now I don't know which one to use when. So I want to show you the difference between the library card die and the library pocket die. So the library card die fits the library card stamp, okay? When you put them together, this is going to be the easiest way to tell them apart. When you put them together, if you think about it, this is the back piece to your pocket die. So it's going to be bigger. The smaller one is going to cut out the library card stamp. It's smaller, it has to fit inside of your pocket. So when you lay them out, this is your library card stamp die. And these two, which are larger, are the actual pocket itself and then the backing of the pocket. So when you pull them out and you think, ooh, which one goes with what? Because I tend to keep them all together because they go together. If you do the same thing and you look at them and go, now which one was for what? The smaller one is for the stamp. The larger one is to create the pocket. So easy way to remember. Before we get too far into how to use all of the dies and create your pockets, I wanted to give you a quick overview of the collection that I'll be using, which is Layle's first mini paper collection with word strip stickers. There are 6 pieces of double-sided paper that you get 2 of each of the papers, and then you get a bonus piece on the back that has this awesome grid. I've used this quite a bit in what we'll do today, but just know that it's on the back of your cover sheet, so it's kind of a little added bonus. This set also has 2 sets of die cuts. One would be the 66-piece set of words, and we'll be using those out of my cute little bowl here later on to decorate. The other set is a 96-piece set of icons that are fun and bright and bold, and those will be in this little pink bowl. So as I pull from one or the other, these are the words and then these will be the icons. There's also 2 sets of washi tape, one with some of the icons, which are absolutely adorable, and the other one with this fun rainbow stripe. So as we're going through and playing with things, just know that the papers I'm using and the die cuts I'm using are all from the brand new Postcards and Passports collection. Now it's time to jump in and start creating some of our own library pockets. As we go, I'm going to give lots of tips and tricks and ideas for the types of paper, as well as things you can do to decorate. First of all, we're going to just get you started with the die cutting process. I'm going to clear the table and then we'll start that process. As you can see, we have lots of paper choices to be able to create the base of our pocket. The one thing to consider is if you have directionality of the paper and the icons, or like the stripes or the squares, you're going to want to pay attention to the directionality. Say you want this stripe as your background piece. If you just lay that down without taping it in place, it's going to move and you're going to get a crooked line, and that's going to drive you crazy. You're going to waste paper and you're going to say, Amy, why didn't you warn me? So this is my warning. When you're using anything with strict lines or directionality, always use a piece of removable adhesive to tape it in place exactly where you want it. If you have to use 3 pieces of tape, it's way better than wasting this piece of paper and go, oh man, why did I not pay attention to that? So with whether it be the stripes, whether it be the squares over here, or these big stripes, same thing. Even the words, if your words are kind of wonky like that, you're not going to be very happy when it comes out. Same with even the icons here. If you make it crooked, it might not make a big difference on this pattern. On this polka dot, which has no directionality, it doesn't matter. You can make it however you want and it's not going to make a difference. You can tilt it, you can leave it straight. It won't make a difference. Only the ones that have a specific line or directionality you have to worry about. And that goes for both the back piece and the front piece, because if you decide you want these stripes on the front piece and it's wonky, You're going to notice that really hard. So you're going to want to go ahead and kind of picture what it is you want in that piece, and then tape it down with your removable tape. Washi tape works too. I just find the highlighter tape works so much better, and you can use it over and over again, and when it starts not sticking well, just throw it away and get another piece. The other thing I want you to think about too is if you love something, like say you want your pocket to say travel or let's wander or journey, any of the sayings, whatever you want in the middle, it's really easy because the center is open. You can move that around and have it say whatever you want. You know, if you want travel to be top center, then, you know, this is where you would cut. You would do that the same way. You would tape your die down to the paper. I trim so that I have all this extra left over, and I have a spot for all of my extras and my little tiny pieces that I might want to use in the end. So don't throw away your scraps. I'll show you what to do with those at the very end of the video. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut that out. Once you cut your base piece and a back piece, I'm going to show you how to put those together. Next, I want to give you just a little bit of an idea of how important it is for directionality. I took this piece of paper and used pieces of it to make the pockets. So I have the blues to green pocket and then the pinks to orange. If I had went ahead and not taped that down and my pocket ended up being crooked, this would look very different. It wouldn't look as clean. It might be fun. I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun, but it might not be what you want. So make sure that you tape your die to your paper so that you get exactly what you're thinking in your mind that you really truly want. Another tip with directionality is pay attention to what you put in the back. The same piece of paper can work beautifully both ways. You can do both vertically or horizontally to give it a very different look. So keep that in mind as you're cutting and laying things out. A lot of times I'll take one piece of paper or a half a piece of paper in my collection because there's two of each sheet. It allows me to take one, cut it in half, and then cut a bunch of different fronts and backs, and then mix and match and play. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of mix and match. I'm going to give you tips for actually adhering the pocket to the back, and there's two different ways to do it, which gives you a different look. So let's go ahead and do that next. Many of you have worked with dies before, but if you haven't, I just kind of wanted to give you a quick overview. When you look at the pocket die, there are different types of die lines. The outside is a thicker, deeper line, and that's the cut line. That gives you the nice, beautiful cut around the outside. In this inside of the pocket, those are score lines. So what that does, and it's hard to see in video, but there are score lines all around three sides. What you're going to do is you're going to turn it over, and you're always going to feel for the bumpy side. And right now the bumpy side is down. So we're always going to fold it into that bump. And it's going to create your pocket. So when you go to cut, this is what it's going to look like when it's folded. There's your inside piece, and then there are your little flaps that you're going to glue down. The nice thing about a pocket like this is that you can use it standalone. You don't have to have a die. It doesn't have to be a library card. It can just be a small pocket. By doing that, you can put it on a layout. You can add your photos and have it just be like that. You can add journaling cards. Absolutely beautiful. Doesn't have to be anything super hard or complicated. It can just be a pocket all by itself. When adhering the pockets, I like to use one of two different types of adhesive. One is like a score tape or tissue tape. This is a 3/8 inch size, which is perfect for taping down the pieces here. The other is the red line tape, which is super strong. Typically I use score tape, but today I'm going to use the red line tape so that you can see where I'm putting the adhesive. The first way to adhere your pockets is to put the adhesive on this side of your line, your score line. I'm going to add my adhesive. When I do that, I'm going to add my pocket to the top of the backer piece. So it will look flat and clean on the back like this. If you are giving it as a gift, if it's going to be a standalone item, it's really important that you want the back side to look pretty. So I recommend, if it's going to show, go ahead and do that with it. Then you're just going to peel off your backing and adhere your pocket. As we add our pocket to the backing, you're just going to want to line it up on the bottom and make sure that it's even from the left to the right. Now we purposely created that back piece to be square because we wanted you to have the choice. You can leave it square, or many library pockets are rounded at the top. This allows you to choose. If you want it to be square, you can leave it square. If you want it to be corner rounded, super easy to take your corner rounder and round the edges for that actual library card look. It's always nice to have choices. The second way to adhere your pocket to your backer card is to place your tape on the inside of the score lines. Instead of, last time we put them here, this time we're going to put our adhesive here. We're going to take our backer card and we're going to wrap it around the backer card. So you're going to push that piece of the backing all the way in, and then you're going to adhere it to the back. So it will look like this. Now, as you can tell, the paper's two-sided, so you are going to get something that is not directionally right, or something that is not something you really like or doesn't match. Be aware of that, and if you're gluing this down to something, it doesn't matter, because you're not going to see that anyway. You're not going to see these, flaps to the back. You are going to just glue it down to your traveler's notebook and insert things inside. That's not a problem. But if you decide after you've created your pocket that, oh, maybe I wanted it to be a little flip pocket, or something that's going to expose the back, or give it as a gift with a gift card in it, or a note, or whatever, pictures, you can always fix it in the end by taking another piece that you cut out and just laying it over the top and covering that back piece. Yes, it's a little bit thicker, but that's okay. It's gonna give you what you want on the back instead of something that looks unfinished. So let's go ahead and create our little pockets. Once I have my adhesive exposed, I push that backer piece all the way to the bottom. So I give it a good push. I make sure that it's straight on the left and right. Then I roll that bottom piece up. Double check it. Yes, it looks good. Then I push over those two side pieces, and then I have that nice, pretty outside. Same thing, you can leave the corners square like that, which is cute, or you can go in and you can round them. Now you can kind of see how fun it is to create different pockets. Well, sometimes you go, okay, now I've got these pockets, what do I do? What do I put in them? How do I use them? They're cute, but they could be so much cuter. Next, we're going to amp it up, and we're going to go from just a plain pocket to something that's absolutely over the top gorgeous. Let's start there. Next, I'm going to show you how to embellish your pockets to get more out of the die that you have. It's always best to have lots of options to get the most for your money. The first thing I'm going to show you is sometimes there are thumb holes in pockets, and you can easily make a thumb hole before you glue this down. We're going to punch half of a thumb hole. So I just want to make sure it's even left to right, and just about half, maybe a little less than half, and punch out a thumb hole. When it's done, look how cute that looks. Simple, fast, easy, elevates it one more level. If you're like me and you love dies, and I've been collecting dies for probably the last 25 years, and I've been a card maker even longer than that, I have a bunch of border dies. And I love border dies because they can just add a little bit extra to something quickly and simply, but take it up a whole new level and make it look so beautiful. If you're a die cutter like I am, this is a great way to add fun elements to your projects and to your library cards without a whole lot of extra effort. This is a border die, and I love border dies because they just take things up to the next level so quickly and easily. This one is from Photoplay Paper. It's called Border Dies, and I will link those in the caption below. And there are 6 different types of borders. What you can do with those is choose a border and cut a fun edge at the top of your little library card pocket. Yes, you can leave it square or you can round the corners, but let's do something fun and add a cute border. Let's try that next. This is another time where it's really important to make sure you line up your die correctly. Because if it's crooked, your back piece is going to be crooked. Grab your piece of removable tape, and you can use washi tape. I just find washi tape kind of disintegrates easy, where this does not. So you're going to go ahead. I'm going to do this before I actually glue it together, just because I want this to lay flat and I don't want anything to happen to this as I'm putting it through my die cutting machine. I'm going to adhere my die to my paper. I like to put my die cutting edge face up because I always want it to cut into the hardest thing first, and it's always going to cut into your plastic shim or your plastic piece that goes on top. I just like to replace one of these more frequently. I've had one that is probably 2 years old and it still works great. I pulled out a new one to be able to let you see things a little bit more clearly through the plate. So it's going to look like that. The cutting side is up, the pattern side that we want is down, and we're just going to die cut that. Look how fun that is. And I also would not throw this piece away because you could always add this piece to something else. So keep your excess pieces and think about how you can use them creatively. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our pocket together. And look at how fun that is. If you did this in red and white stripes, this would be a cute little popcorn bucket kind of effect for a party. So sweet. Once it's adhered down, you can add a little bit of extra. And Layle is so good at this, and she has such a steady hand, which I don't have as steady a hand, so bear with me. But Layle goes in and she outlines all of her pieces. Layle is so good at this. She's got such a steady hand. I'm not so steady, but that's okay. So I go ahead and I outline the whole exterior of my pocket, including my little notch for my thumb hole. This is just a Sharpie that Layle uses all the time. Then, if you want to get really creative, you can go in and just kind of outline those little wavy lines. to give it a little extra pizzazz. Now you don't have to do it all the way down because this is going to be glued on anyway. But I just went ahead and did it so that you could see what it looks like. Then you would adhere those pieces together to make your fun little pocket. The next way is to go ahead and cut down your pocket. Say I want to use this picture, but it's getting lost in there. You can cut your pocket down just straight across, and you can also cut the backing piece down straight across. So it doesn't have to be a full library pocket. You can make it shorter to be able to show what's inside a little bit better. Remember when I told you don't throw away this fun little piece that was cut off at the top from your border dies? You can use that piece to create a fun little edge here. This is a postcard border die, and I just used the postcard border die, kept my little strip, adhered it to the top of my pocket, and look how cute that is. And I outlined the top of the border as well as the outside edge and the backing. How fun is that? I wanted to show you a quick difference in how it looks with just a little bit of pen stitching detail. This is where I started with just my little die border strip along the top to give it a little bit of definition between the pattern and the back piece, where I didn't outline it at all. It still looks cute, but then you go over here and you outline your scallops, you outline the back, you outline the bottom. How cool is that? The next suggestion would be to jazz it up a little bit and add things to the front of your pocket. With this example, I just left it plain. I added a little bit of the die cut pieces from the words set, and I added it to the top of my library card and slid it in. Look how cute that looks just the way it is. But if you want to add a little more detail, because this is really busy, and I didn't want to cover that up and take away the fun patterns from this piece of paper, so I just added a little strip that says arrival, and you could either write your date of your arrival time or go ahead and add like a little date stamp, just a little extra to be able to make it look fun and adorable. And that's with the little library card inside of the pocket that's all zhuzhed up. Now, this is also very busy. So if you wanted to add a piece of ephemera to the top of it, it's gonna kind of get lost. There's too much going on. So when you pick your pattern paper for this part of the pocket, be conscious about what it is you want to do with it and what your end goal is. This is adorable just the way it is. You don't really need to add more to it because you added this cute little border edge. It's perfect just the way it is. But if you want to add more, you can go ahead and add what they call clusters. When you add clusters, you're taking your little bits and pieces of ephemera and you're creating a mini scene basically. And you're layering them on top of each other. You can use the words as well as the icons and mix and match them together. Look how cute that would look. Hit the road jack, maybe a little compass. I'm new to layering and stacking different pieces together, so I'm still kind of figuring out what works best for me. And sometimes it takes me a little longer than I probably should. But how fun is it to just kind of stack things up and see how you like them? Now, when you get something that you like, say you want to do something like that. When you get it the way you like it, we're going to go back to your tape. And we're going to take a piece of tape and we're going to tape those in place. because when they're taped in place like this, you're not committed to it, but you have options. So you can take your little piece and you can go, oh, that's really cute, but it's hanging over the edge. Do I need to reassess and pull this in a little bit? Maybe like that. Maybe I just want that by itself, or maybe I want to add something a little extra. Maybe I want more of that pink stripe to show. But when you tape it in place and you have it exactly where you want it, then you just flip it over and you glue it together as a piece, as a cluster. So look at your ephemera and your die cuts in a different way and think clustering your die cuts to create something fun on top of your library pockets. Here are a couple that I thought were fun. And look how much easier you can see this and your cluster on something that's more plain as opposed to, say, that. It's just too busy. So think about what it is you want to do with it, and maybe keep this a little plainer if you think you want to use your ephemera to add some little zhuzh to it. Look at that. How fun is that? So don't be afraid to layer things up and try different things. You're not committed until you glue it down. So as long as you don't glue it down, you're perfect. The other piece is to cut your library card, put it in your pocket, and then test things that could be peeking out, whether it be a tiny cluster or a little geotag like this with your title written next to it, a little fun arrow. It doesn't have to cover the whole top of your card, but it can give you a little added zhuzh, and then you can add your date, your title, the location you're in on that day, and then put the stuff that matches inside, like tickets or receipts. How fun would that be for a vacation album? The other thing that you can do is use the Passports and Postcards Days stamp to add the day of the week that you are going. So say you are going to be on a 3-day vacation, you'd stamp 1 through 3 or 1 through 9. And then each day you can say where you're at and then journal what you did that day and then put them inside of your pocket. Super fast, super easy. You could do that ahead of time. If you had your pockets and your cards, put them in your to-go bag with a pen and you are ready to journal and you have everything already done for when you get home. You can just pop it into whatever you're doing, whether it be a traveler's notebook or a 6x8 album, whatever it is that you're creating. You've already done the hard work, which is the journaling part and keeping notes on what it is you did on vacation. So that is the Postcards and Passports Days stamp. You can also add the Mini Icons Travel To stamp set. They fit perfectly on the tiny topping of the library card. So any of those stamps would be beautiful, or maybe even a cluster of them, a little collage of them. You could even put the definition of travel. So lots of options with stamps as well. The one thing I forgot to mention is that when you are adding things inside of your pocket, it will hold about 4, very comfortably, possibly 5 different library cards. If you adhere the flaps to the back, if you adhere the flaps to the inside so that this looks nice and smooth and pretty, it might be less than that because you're taking up a little bit of extra space on the interior versus the back side. So keep that in mind as well. Give it a try, see what you think. The other thing that you can do is use the stamps from Say It, from the Passports and Postcards collection. You can stamp it on the front. You can stamp it on another piece of paper and cut it out. You can use a title. You can stamp a nice fun title across the top of your library card. So think outside of the box as to what you could put in or on your library pockets or your library card to just make it more fun. Let's get lost, and then you could go ahead and put different titles up here, dates, so that you know where you were and when you were there. So definitely look through your stamps and your ephemera to kind of see what it is that you might like to add to it. It doesn't matter what collection it is. If you've got stamps, if you've got ephemera, if you've got coordinating paper, you can do any of this with absolutely any collection you currently own. So whether it be Christmas or any occasion, summer travel, day at the beach, you name it, the sky's the limit. What I like most about the coordinating library card and library pocket dies is that you can use them alone, you can use them together, you can mix and match, you can use just the piece here to create a pocket of any size you might want. The possibilities are endless, and it doesn't matter what season or reason you're using the paper or the collections, it works for all of it. The big thing would be to make sure that your pattern isn't too big so that you can see a nice section of your pattern, and watch for directionality, because if the directionality is wrong, you're going to ruin your piece of paper, and I would really be sad to have you do that. That's my cautionary tale. The other thing inside of the Postcards and Passports collection, the paper has some beautiful cut-aparts that I want you to be aware of. The first set of cut-aparts are 3x4 and 4x6 cut-aparts. And those easily, the smaller ones, easily fit inside of the library pocket. So definitely think about that as you're kind of creating. You might have to go ahead and cut your pocket down a little bit so that more of it shows. The other thing I like to do is just kind of have things sticking out of the back of the pocket as well. Kind of give it more dimension and a layered look. That's fun too. I love luggage tags. I love tags, and this one just makes my heart so happy. It allows you to cut apart 12 different tags, and you can use them for journaling, you can stamp on them, you can write on them where you're going, you can use it as a to from for a gift. Those work beautifully inside of the pocket. And how fun would it be to add your journaling with some fun little tags? If you punched a hole and added a little bit of twine, it would give it some dimensionality. You could even add that as a little backing so that your journaling kind of has something to pop out of. So there's lots of choices in this collection to be able to add things to your pocket and make it just so much fun. I think that's why I love this collection so much, is that there's so many pieces that have been so well thought out to be able to mix and match together. How fun would it be to just do a little tag that says road trip? Add your postcard. You could write a little note on your postcard and make it look like a real postcard. You could add ephemera. I mean, the sky's the limit for the mixing and matching of this collection. The sky's the limit when you mix and match the collections that you have with just a few simple dies and a stamp to create totally different looks for whatever occasion. I hope you have a ton of fun mixing and matching and thinking things that might work well and working with the different scale. The one thing I will say about scale is I tend to collect 6x6 and 6x8 paper pads. And if you do the same, you'll know that they're at a smaller scale than a 12x12 paper, which is kind of cool. I love that. One thing I'd like to encourage you to do is Go through your stash, go through your 6x8 paper pads, go through your 6x6 paper pads, go through your scrap bucket and see what might work. Because all you need is a small piece to be able to create something really cool. Let's talk scale a little bit. As you know, the 6x8 and the 6x6 paper pads have a smaller scale than the exact same paper in the 12x12 piece of paper. So when you're doing something on a smaller scale, like say one of these pockets, they work perfectly. And the fact that we left the centerpiece open allows you to move that around to be able to get what you want. So say I want to make a pocket that looks like this. I tape that in place. It's absolutely beautiful. You can either pull one of these colors and make the backing with cardstock, or find a matching pattern inside of your 6x8 paper pad. Look at how fun and tiny the different cameras are. I love cameras. I collect cameras. I have been a photographer for many, many years. Absolutely love it. So when I see something really cool that has cameras on it, I'm going to buy it. And I might have hoarded paper in the past that has cameras on it. Just saying. This might be one of those pieces. You know, I will confess to that. But the nice thing about it is the scale is small. So you could cut your pocket out of this and then make this your back piece. And how cute would that be? No directionality in this, but directionality in this. So you'd have to be cautious when you cut. Same with something like this. Great birthday card. You could do this on the pocket and this in the back. But everything is small scale that you could mix and match. So I highly recommend you going through and you looking at the things that you have. Maybe you've done a project and you have 8 sheets left over of this and some ephemera and maybe a stamp or whatever. This would be a great way to add to that project or create something totally different. And that's what I like so much about this set. To prove my point, I want to show you this. I have a lot of 6x6 paper pads that I have extra sheets that I might not necessarily like the pattern, but I don't have to like the pattern to be able to do something fun. How cute would that be? With this is your pocket, this is your piece to go inside to wish someone a happy birthday or write a little note, put it in a journal. It can be a standalone. It doesn't have to go inside of anything particular. You have extra pieces to be able to work with. This could be your back piece, just that color, a fun color that mixes and matches. Really pretty, not something that is my favorite, but you know what? I have a lot of friends that love blue and yellow, so I could easily use that to create something fun for them. As we're talking scale, look how fun this is. Just small little pieces. You can move it around to see what you might like. If you like more of the pink and navy, or a little bit of yellow and orange, a little bit of that teal up here in the corner. It really allows you a lot of flexibility. Love the dots. Polka dots always do a great job because they're non-directional. So you don't have to worry so much about making sure that they're going in the right direction and nothing is upside down or cattywampus. Love the tickets. Look how fun the tickets would be. Move it around, pick your favorites, choose your favorite colors. So that leads me into the next piece that I want to share is that, okay, you say, great, that's fine and wonderful, but I have all this wasted. I get one pocket out of a 6x8 and then I have a bunch of wasted paper that, am I just going to throw that away? No, you're not. Because you're going to go and you're going to find your punches or even die cuts if you have fun die cuts that are small, and you're going to take them and make tags, make circles to just be able to use the fun pieces that coordinate. I mean, how fun is a coordinating tag that's small? So when you're done with the stuff that you're creating, don't throw your scraps away. look at them and cut tags, even if it's just your coordinating cardstock. You can have a piece of coordinating cardstock and do something fun with a tag. Add a little embellishment. Add your little outlining to give it some depth and dimension. Poke a hole in it. Whether it be frames or backgrounds, or look how fun the little circle would be. There's some fun geotags on the back. All the things you can do to create extra parts and pieces that you can throw in your ephemera pack that are just made out of scraps. So don't throw your scraps away. Think about things before you throw them or give them away, because there's so much that you can do. I mean, how beautiful is that? Just absolutely stunning. Circles make a great spot for ephemera to give it a grounded look. Add a little bit of pen detail around the outside, and it's absolutely beautiful. So it gives you more options of things you can do with the ephemera that is in any of your collections. Now that we've talked a little bit about scraps, I might have left my favorite part to the very end, and that is using the mini clips and clip-it dies to create fun little clips to go on top of your library cards. Look how absolutely adorable that is. Now, if you didn't want to put the card inside of the pocket, it's adorable just the way it is. But look how cute it is when you add it to both. So fun. There's mini clips, there's the clip-it. You can use any of your scraps to do this. Stamp on your scraps, die cut it out, and you have a whole host of things that you can add to your library card to make it a little more fun. You could easily stack them. It's all about how creative you can be and the papers you have access to. I want to show you that I do actually practice what I preach. When I have scraps and I have some extra time and I don't want to get into a major project, I go ahead and I stamp a bunch of the clips on my scraps or an extra piece of paper that I really love but don't have any idea what I want to do with it. And I have a big bag of clips that look like this. This is just a few of them. I also use some of just the plain white paper and stamp them on plain white cardstock, because then you can go in and you can color them with markers or colored pencils, but you can also ink them with your Tim Holtz Distress Oxides to make sure that it matches whatever you're doing. How fun would it be to go ahead and just make a happy birthday card or happy birthday tag, put happy birthday or write it or stamp it there, a little note, and attach that to a gift. So fun. I mean, it can match, it can be by itself, you can put it on the front of a card, you can add that to any of the pockets. Sometimes I don't have anything that matches. Like that has lots of great color. You just would cut your pocket out of a matching cardstock and make this your accent piece. Lots of ideas, but this is one of my very, very favorites. Now that I'm done with the video, I will go in and take my scraps and I will stamp on them and then die cut the mini clips out so that I can add the mini clips to my ephemera pieces so that I have more when I go to scrapbook or use them inside of my traveler's notebook. My most important tip to you would be to look in the stash that you currently have. See if you have the clip-it dies or the mini clip dies. How can you use those to make this set even more functional and more fun? Because the sky's the limit. It's the paper you choose, it's the collection that you grab, it is the ephemera that you use to decorate it. I love that the library card and the library card pocket sets work so well together, they're so versatile, and that you can mix and match with other things that you have in your collection. I hope you've enjoyed this little mini tutorial and all the ideas that come with it. I hope that I have inspired you to look in your stash and think outside of the box and use this set to be able to create tons and tons of fun elements to use in all of your paper crafting projects. Thanks so much for letting me take over Layle's YouTube channel today. Please hit the like button and follow for more fun ideas. Have a great day.